Hallo zusammen, hier ist Mareike von Irish Whiskies und wie jeden Montag habe ich wieder besondere Gäste aus Irland dabei. Diesmal werden wir über die Powerscourt Distillery reden und meine Gäste heute sind Noel Sweeney und Alex Peirce und ich gebe jetzt das Wort weiter. Der Livestream wird wieder in Englisch sein, Kommentare gerne in Deutsch und in Englisch, wir übersetzen und freuen uns auf einen tollen Abend mit euch. So we go now to English, and I introduced you a bit to the people, but maybe you can start and talk a bit who you are and what you are doing at the Powerscourt Distillery.
Noel, do you want to lead or will I lead?
Hi, yeah, sure. My name is Noel Sweeney. I'm the master distiller in Powerscourt Distillery. And Powerscourt Distillery started a few years ago. And before that, I was a master distiller in Cooley Distillery for 27 years. So currently in the distillery, we're making both malt and pot still whiskey. And that's my main role at the moment. And that's what we're about at Powerscourt Distillery. Alex?
Sure. Well, first of all, good evening, everybody. And Mareike, thank you for hosting this evening's show. My name is Alex Peirce. I'm the Managing Director of Powerscourt Distillery. The distillery started in 2016. I've been Managing Director since then, responsible for putting together a team both in the distilling side of the business, but also in the visitor centre and entertainment side of the business as well. We've been distilling since, correct me here, no, I think June 2018.
Yes.
Our first distillation, distilling since June 2018. We've launched some products the first couple of years to see us through the first couple of phases of our development as a company. And these products have been distilled formally by Noel. So we're very fortunate. We have a distillery that's quite new. And if you'll forgive me, a distiller that's less new. And some tremendous whiskies, which I think later on this evening, Mareike will be going through. If I could just say one more thing, because you know me, I'll talk all night. I always think it's lovely to start these shows with a drink. I think we perhaps all have a drink in front of us. So as I sign up, what I will say to all your visitors and guests this evening, Mareike, is sláinte.
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 So thank you very much. So we have already some viewers and we have comments and they all say hello. So Doris says hello. Tina, good evening. There were some Easter greetings. They are wishing us a very nice evening. Whiskey Jason is also watching. Alex, you mentioned.
Hello, Whiskey Jason. Good to see you again.
Yeah, Stefan is watching. Stefan will hopefully hosting us in October in his hotel. So we have all our fingers crossed. No, that was the event we were talking about in Nuremberg. So hopefully we will visit all Stefan. Here we have some more Easter wishes. So lots of people joining us. Some more hello here. So, okay, so maybe we can start talking a bit about the distillery. So when I was over last July, it was my third time visiting Powerscourt Distillery. So I visited at first 3 years ago when there was nothing, just the building where you enter the distillery, but not really more. And so last year I saw the first time the Ready Distillery, so it was really nice to visit it. And maybe just to give the viewers an idea about the distillery, we can show a picture of the distillery and give them a view how it's looking. So I hope you can all see that. And so maybe Alex or Noel, you can talk a bit about the old building where you enter the distillery.
Yeah, sure. I'll pick it up, Noel. The old building you see at the front there is actually an old mill house. We're located about a half an hour from Dublin city centre. We're located in North Wicklow in a beautiful estate known as Powerscourt Estate. And on the estate is a grand old house that dates back, in fact, to a castle dating back to the 13th century. But the estate grew out and grew from there and had its own mill at one stage. So the old building you see on the front, I guess it'll be to the right-hand side of the photograph, but to the left as your viewers are looking at it. That actually dates back to about 1760, and it's been built using local granite stone from the surrounding Wicklow area. Inside the house, the mill building, when we sort of first started looking at it, there's an old. It was originally used for milling grains around the local area, but in its later years, it was converted and, in fact, was used as a sawmill. Powered by hydroelectric power. Inside the old mill building is an old turbine, and in fact, further up in the estate, your photograph doesn't show it, but there's a reservoir, and the entire operations of that building were powered way back through hydroelectric power and water rushing down from a local reservoir. So a beautiful old historic building. As we started putting the distillery together, the building was actually in disrepair and in fact had been not used for many years. So it made a perfect sort of anchor point on which to bolt the new distillery and extended visitor centre facilities to the back of.
Very good. So yeah, it's really nice to go in there and to go from the old entrance to the new building. So your colleague Andrew also joined. So you are be watched. We have some more hello here from Paul O'Farrell. So I think there are also some Irish people looking. So very good. Here we have someone from YouTube. Hello. So lots of people here, very good. So maybe when we go into the distillery, and then I know we will see about the historic of the Irish whiskey and about the area. But then moving forward, we will also enter the pot stills, and I think that's Noah's point. So maybe I can show also a picture of the pot stills, and Noah can tell a bit what you are producing and what you are doing there. I think that's very interesting for the people. So just let me get the picture. Sorry?
We'll test your technical skills now.
Yeah, no, I test those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, making Irish whiskey is there are basically 4 ingredients involved here. So we're talking about barley as the main ingredient in our production. Barley that then can be produced into malt in the malting plant, and we also use ordinary barley in pot still production. So the other ingredients then will be water, and we're very fortunate in the Powerscourt estate that we have a large aquifer, which is an underwater lake underneath the estate, and we have a 30-meter deep well which is able to tap that resource. And the water under Powerscourt estate is mineral water of a very high potable standard, and it's very good for making whiskey. It's very clean, obviously, having come from 30 meters underground, is well filtered and clean. And that's what we use for our whiskey. And apart from that, then we have our yeast. We use a dried yeast. That gives us, because the yeast is able to store that for about 2 years, as opposed to the likes of a cream yeast or a press yeast, which has a lifespan of only a couple of weeks. So that's easier for us to store in this kind of size of distillery. What you're looking at then are our pot stills. The one in the forefront there is our wash or beer still, and these were produced by Seit, which is again one of the premier, I guess, kit suppliers within the whiskey industry worldwide. Sites of several generations of experience in producing pot stills. And again, you can't make pot stills out of any old copper. It has to be a very high quality standard, and otherwise you don't get the reactions that you need to go on during the distillation, because copper is released into the spirit during distillation, and that's very important because it helps to remove sulfur compounds that give you off odors in the raw unique spirit. So having the proper copper and the proper design of the still is very, very important. So the other ingredient after that then of course is barrel, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later on when we get into the maturation side of the whiskey. We would take a lot of our barrels from Kentucky. Bourbon barrels are predominantly used for production of whiskey, and a lot of other spirits as well. And mainly because they're quite good quality of cask. Having produced bourbon, the bourbon industry can only use a barrel that's new. So when they've used it for making their first cup bourbon, they have to go over. And so it's a cheap source of cask. So having gotten the casks, they don't have the same level of tannin that you would get in the bourbon whiskey, and that's important as well for the maturation process of Irish whiskey. So the distillery was built in 2018. The Seit people arrived on site in January, and we had built the initial building for the distillery in about 6 months, and then it took another 6 months to get the kit in and commissioned, and we started distilling in June 2018. So as of this month, we have around 500,000 litres of alcohol produced and laid down in our warehouse at the distillery. And we're looking forward to releasing that in the coming years. And that's going to be some celebration. So it's all to look forward to. So that's about the distillery.
Very
Is there anything
good.
else?
So,
Yeah, actually, Ulrike, can I actually just jump in there as well? Because I know the Forsyths, both Richard Senior and Richard Junior, fairly well. And I would say when in fact we were starting our distillery, and you have to go back now to August 2016. In fact, the Forsyths came to visit with us in September 2016, and by the end of September, we had done one of those great things that I guess Irish and Scots do together very well. We shook hands on a deal that they would arrive to us, to our facilities that at that stage were yet to be built, that they would arrive in January 2018. So September 16 through till January 2018. They bet that we wouldn't be ready, and we bet that they wouldn't be ready. But you know, such as the lead times of building and of actually putting together. Obviously, we had a turnkey job agreed with Forsyths. One thing I will say is they hadn't quite bet on the Irish ability to build. We hit our building targets on time, and congratulations to my colleague and project manager Jerry, who's not on the call this evening, and his teams. And we hadn't quite bet on just how tightly they'd look after being paid. They were very good in that front, and they delivered plans on time. Suffice it to say that you know, we were very, very fortunate. We worked with Forsyths, whom I had known formerly, an absolutely superb company to work with, from the point of view of putting together a new distillery. Second to none experience, and in terms of quality of plant, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And when all was said and done, if you take the, let's say from start to finish, almost 3 years, if I go back to those meetings that we had in September 2016, and I look at all the difficulties that we had putting the plan together, we were, of course, as everybody will be, at a particular time of year, we were hit by bad weather, by snow, and everything else. The teams arrived, they worked hard throughout their 6 months, and they delivered a plant within 3 weeks of when we had hoped, going back 2 years earlier, and certainly to the original budget and to the original quotation they had given us. So I think in that regard, it would be wrong to talk about putting our plant together without making particular mention and notice of the excellent work at Forsyth.
very good. Great to hear. So there were joining more people. So it's very nice for me to see Mark here. because I had a live stream with him yesterday, and I showed there another whiskey. So he's now here watching. Hello. So when you said you started distilling in 2018, do you know if you will release a 3-year-old whiskey or will it be older?
Alex and I generally have a little bit of we toss this one around between us a little bit. Alex will say, we're not releasing anything till Noel says it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of saying to Alex, well, Alex, what are the commercial realities here? Are we going to have to release it or not? Because, again, I mean, we're in a business and the business has to survive and we have to make money. And we have to make sure that we obviously wouldn't like to release anything that's not about maybe 16, 17-year-old, but that's not that. Let's face reality. The whiskey will be drinkable after about 3 or 4 years. Now, as everybody knows, it probably gets into its own when it's much older. So we will see when we get there what the taste and the quality is like, and we'll also see, God forbid, with coronavirus and everything else, who knows where we're going to be with this kind of financial situation in a couple of years' time. So we've tasted the spirit already. We're very happy with the progress. We've got a very good cask, very nice warehouses, and we should have great product when we come to release it, and that's our plan. But Powerscourt and Powerscourt Distillery, our ethos is that we would only bring out premium products, and that's my mission in this whole affair is hopefully, but we'll just have to wait and see. And
maybe age is not everything of a whiskey, so it has to taste.
I think back to Noel's point, look, we've been very fortunate. We have a tremendous source of local water. We are located in a part of Ireland where there's a lot of barley growing, so we're fortunate in that regard also. We have an excellent distiller, and we have an excellent plant. Our new spirit we're delighted with, and obviously I think, Marika, you may even have a sample of that new spirit.
Yes, I have. Here it is.
You had last time I saw it.
And I can tell you it's very good.
Well, yeah, it has been very well received, and I think, look, I think what we'll probably do, and it's not as though this approach hasn't been done by others in the past. We certainly will release a small amount of product as soon as we can, which will be sometime after 3 years. I think there's two things about that. It's nice to be able to release something as soon as you can. Commercially, it makes sense. But also, whiskies it's one of those things that grows in you over a lifetime. And I think it would be a shame for there to be, as there will be at some stage, a long history of whiskey from Powerscourt, and for there never to have been some of the early product released. I think it would be nice, something I'd like to give my grandchildren when I'm old and decrepit and all the rest of it. I'd like to be able to give them one of our first releases, actually from the estate that we distilled and released on the estate. I think that would be a nice thing. And I think somewhere between 3 and 4 years, yeah, we will release some, but not a huge amount. Some.
Yeah, very good. But I think at the moment, maybe some has seen it in the back. There is already some whiskey we can talk about. So what you did is Noel. I think lots of people know that Noel is working in the whiskey industry since some years. But he did some really good whiskeys, and he did also. Yes, you did. I think when you wouldn't have done these whiskeys, Irish whiskey wouldn't be that famous as it is now. I think they did a really good base work, and I think if there wouldn't have been those 3 big distilleries, there wouldn't be as much knowledge as there is at the moment in Germany and the world. But I also think that there is lots of work to do for Irish whiskey, but it's getting easier. So we can talk about the first whiskey, I think. We need to drink something. Yes.
Well, I've been sipping away here at the blend for the last 15 minutes on that. If you don't,
I'm sorry, I show the blend here. It's the Colin
yeah.
Premium Blend.
Yes.
I just have a sip in my glass left, sorry. And
Sorry.
we got the first comment. Very nice because it's he has a 10-year-old per Carlin, signed by very man no Sweeney. Oh, he's the winner of the bottle you sent to Germany. Hi.
Oh,
Hello. Very nice.
Excellent. Well,
Okay,
I mean,
here's the question. Did I miss the moment to taste for Colin Blend? No, we taste it now. So,
well, I mean, the blend. This is an intriguing blend because we and one of the main jobs of the blender is to make the best out of the materials that you have. And being a new whiskey distillery company, where we purchased what stock was available. So the blend, we put the word premium in there because we got a stock of malt from 2002, and the grain is 2012. So that marriage of older malt with a relatively well, a lot of German blends nowadays. There was a 6-year-old grain at the time, 7 now. It was a much higher standard than what you might normally expect to get as a blended Irish whiskey, which a lot of them would be in 3 to 4-year-old category. So this average age is 6, but the grain is actually, or as I said, 7, but the malt from 2002 is about 14, 15 years of age at the time. So malt gives it that extra bit of weight and body to the product, and the grain, because it's matured as long as it has in bourbon, has quite a lot of vanilla, spice and flavor with it, and it's an excellent blend compared to a lot of the others out there, I think. So I'd say a really nice whiskey, a lot of vanilla on the nose. If you taste, you should get a bit of citrus, a lot of oak as well, because of the age, and that gives it a bit more body, then go, and a little bit more interesting complexity that you might get with something that's a bit younger. So a really nice product, and I'm
I think so too. And it's a bit of an easy drinking whiskey, but it's also complex, and you have all those notes, and it has a 40% ABV, so it's a very nice drinking whiskey. So, Slanger. So I mixed up something. The guy who's tasting the Farcallan 10, he got it personally signed by you at the distillery. So a visitor of the distillery, even better.
Yes, it's great to have people call to the distillery and see what we do there. And most days I'm there and more than happy to sign a bottle for anybody that purchases bottles at the distillery. It's the best place to buy them, I think. And you get the added bonus of meeting me here as well, and we can discuss or talk about whatever is going on in the line of Irish whiskey. And I really enjoy meeting the customers because after all, I mean, they're the people that keep us in a job. Cheers, and I hope you enjoy the bottle of whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. I think there are some, I'm not sure if Tina, she's writing, it's a really beautiful place. Maybe she was already there. I'm not sure. And here it's Gockel. So it's, I know him, and Noel, you met him. He felt a bottle his own in Nuremberg. I'm not sure if he was already there, but they are really often in Ireland. So if not, they will definitely visit you.
Yeah,
and I know Stefan wanted to be here now in April. We already fixed all the tickets with you, but now, of course, of Corona, he cannot be there. Yeah, really pity. So I think you will have lots of visitors again when you're allowed to be open again.
But we're looking forward to it big time. I mean, it's a big, issue at the moment. The distillery is actually shut down, unfortunately, and I mean, but the visitor centre is on hold. We're looking forward to opening up, and probably June, I think, before we get back into full kink again. But we'll see. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen with this coronavirus, but hopefully safe and well after this, and look forward to meeting and welcoming everybody to the distillery, because I mean it's a beautiful place. Powerscourt estate is a vast estate, a couple of thousand acres, gardens are world class. I mean, number 3 according to National Geographic for private gardens in the world, so that's not a bad accolade at all to have. And the location is just stunning. I mean, we call it Wicklow of Ireland, not for you know, that's the local or the Irish description of where we're working. It's really a beautiful place to work. So everybody is welcome.
Yeah. So are you producing at the moment whiskey, or is the production also shut down?
It's been, sorry.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, we we shut down production a couple of weeks ago, Marika, and really we didn't have to. You know, distilling in Ireland is certainly seen as an essential activity, which of course it is. But having said that, you know, for distilling to take place, it requires obviously people to be on a plant floor or on the distillery floor, and we felt with some of the concerns that were being promoted by various news feeds, we thought the right thing for all of our staff, and you know that included our distilling staff as well, and staff that look after our warehousing and all, everybody. Look, folks, for the next little while, the best advice seems to be stay at home. And that's what we'll do for now. Obviously, that's not an easy decision to make, not at all. But we're not running at full capacity at the moment. So we do sort of feel that with a little bit of gentle persuasion, Noel may encourage his teams to work that little bit harder, that little bit longer in the back half of the year. Let's see. But look, we not an easy decision. It's a difficult time for everybody, but now we're closed, and as soon as we can go back, what we'll probably do is open production, and then bit by bit get the rest of the site, which obviously includes the visitor centre, open. But that'll be very much guided by what our government here advises and what the recommendations and the guidelines are.
Okay, really good. So Tina, so Tina, I was right. She was over in the distillery. So she met you, Alex, and you had a chat with her.
Right.
Yeah, as I was wondering, he wanted to visit the distillery by the end of March this year. So I'm sure you will be over soon when they are open again. And here's a question in German. So it's a question to myself and to you. Sabine is asking how we met each other and how the word Powerscourt, Mareike and Mareike Powerscourt started. So maybe I can, as I told at the start, I was at the Powerscourt estate 3 years ago. And the first time there, I met Gary Ginty. And I was talking to him about the plans of Powerscourt Distillery and about the whiskies. So there was the plan to build the distillery, but the construction of the distillery hasn't started. And I was there 2 years ago again, met Gary again. And so at this point, the construction of the distillery started already, but it wasn't still finished. Yeah, Alex, you look a bit. I think you're.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I'm listening. I was listening. I was waiting for the bit because I suspect you don't know the answer to Powerscourt, so I was waiting to come in on that bit.
Your line seems not really good. The picture is pixeled.
That's probably a benefit.
Maybe. So
Is it coming back in, or look, I'm sure it'll correct itself. Hopefully.
No, that's fine. So, and last year, Ryan called me in April and was asking if I would be interested in working with Powerscourt Distillery. So at this time, you had already started distilling. So we had lots of phone calls, and then in July, we met each other at the Powerscourt Distillery. And I think Powerscourt wanted to have somebody in Germany who knows a lot about Irish whiskey. I hope I tell the right things at the moment.
No, absolutely, Marika. Look, maybe I'll just jump in here. Look, I mean, I think a lot of anybody who enjoys a glass of whiskey, there's lots of things to a glass of whiskey, and one of the most important things is the people that you enjoy the glass of whiskey with. We're fortunate this industry is full of all sorts of characters with fascinating backgrounds, but generally speaking, most people you meet in this industry that work in the industry are make extremely enjoyable company. When Marika came across with her husband and child to visit us in Powerscourt, it's one of those things that straight away, you may have all sorts of ideas as to who you might work with and what you might do. And then you sit up at the table with someone and you decide very quickly, actually, let's build plans together. You're a very, very enjoyable and easy person to work with, very, very straightforward. And we didn't feel as though you were saying anything that we didn't know. We were going to be starting from a small base. We were going to, look towards a 3 and a 5 year plan and then a 10-year plan. And we felt as though we had somebody who understood the challenges. And obviously, Irish whiskey as a category has a huge number of challenges in terms of broadening itself out and deepening its reach. But who also understood that it would take time, and that and the things that take time require very often more than one party, two sides to understand that fundamental equation. And that was one thing you communicated to us more or less straight away. And over the course of the day and a half that we had together, you know what, we cemented some nice memories, and I look forward to the years ahead, Marika, as we do ever more business in Germany together.
Yeah, really good. Thank you. So I think that's a bit also the question from Toby. Why do you love working together with Marika? I think you answered this. And satisfy your German customers. What is special about having Irish whiskey as a business partner? I think you answered that already.
Okay.
Or is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, Marika, you know me, I can talk all night, but I probably shouldn't. I'm
fine with it. Here's another comment. I was there the day before the distillery officially closed. Claire and Adam gave us tour. Great to have there, lads. Keep the spirit. Very nice. Very good comment for you.
Thanks, Adam. And then, one of our tour guides.
Okay. This is a very interesting question. I translated. It's Stefan is asking how you, Alex, look at the big expansion of the Irish market. He thinks that sometimes you are losing the overview at the moment because there are so many independent bottlers, new distilleries, or distilleries they should be built.
Sorry, one more time. I beg your pardon.
So Stefan is asking, what do you think about the big expansion of the Irish market at the moment? For him, it's like he's losing the overview of the market.
Okay, well, it's actually quite straightforward. We have, we've been for many years quite a quiet player on the whiskey front internationally, and that's changed because historically we occupied probably the most prominent position globally. I won't go through the history of Irish whiskey because I think a lot of people, and I'm sure your fans and viewers will be familiar with that. But if you look at the current landscape of Irish distilleries, there's essentially three very obvious tiers. There's the very large players, then there's the middle tier like ourselves, then there's the small artisanal, much smaller output type distillery that's maybe doing a range of products, maybe doing some gin and other bits and pieces. I think Irish whiskey, inevitably so, it's going to take some years before we have true depth in the industry. And that's simply a function of time. Whiskey isn't something that you can distill this morning and bottle this afternoon. Obviously you distill it, you put it in barrels, and as we were saying earlier on, maybe it's 3-5 years, maybe it's 10-15 years. I think there's plenty of scope for yet more distilleries from Ireland. If we look at our Scottish counterparts, there's 110, 120 different distilleries. Okay, a lot of them are owned by large conglomerates, but nonetheless, each one has its own individual distinctive features. I spent many years living in Scotland, and I'll be honest about it, I make every excuse to go back. I absolutely love Scotland. And I love spending time in the different distilleries there. And I look forward to a time when the Irish landscape can very much, I'd like to say reflect it, but actually take the lead in that. And I believe it is doable. It takes years of investment, years of effort, and it takes a culture to develop within the country. We had it before. It's increasing now. The large companies are putting huge amounts of money into training up new, younger distillers. You're seeing innovative, creative products coming out, appealing to new, younger markets. I think Irish whiskey has a long story yet to tell, and we're very fortunate to be in a position where we have some old stock from, let's say, from former years, but a very clear view on where we want to go over the next 5, 10, and 20 years. I think there's always going to be scope for quality products, no matter what the industry. And the main thing for us is going to be to consistently release very high quality products. And I think genuinely that was the plan. Well, that was the plan day one. And I feel at the moment as though we have a lot of the key building blocks in place to allow for that. Of course, the mystery element of time is what excites us all. I can't speak for that particularly, but we do have lovely weather. We do warehouse our aging spirit very close to the distillery on Powerscourt estate. And we're confident that in years to come, we'll be releasing some tremendous Irish whiskies. And we look forward to that.
Very good. So maybe we can jump over to the next whiskey, the 10-year-old grain. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is Noel. Can I jump in and do this one? Because
very good. Have it over, yes. So I will just put in some more comments. So Kevin says it's very important to find the right people to work with, and it seems you have a great relationship. Thank you very much. And Toby, thanks for answering the question. By the way, very enjoyable blended whiskey. Thanks for having your guy on the stream and getting some insights. No problem. Okay, and then here one more from Kevin. I would presume there's room for all in the Irish whiskey market. Throw a mix in the pot and the flavor can turn out nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And then another question. Oh, that's very interesting. Noel, can you give us some insight how a day in the life as a master distiller looks like? That's a very interesting question, I think. Drink whiskey.
Absolutely. I mean, at the start of our discussion, I talked about the distillery and the location and the ingredients and all the rest of it. Well, one of the most important parts about whiskey making is the people and the people that we have employed. And I'm very, very, very fortunate. I have a number of very excellent guys with me. Now, when you're building a team for production, you have to be to make sure that you get it. The guys have to be able to work together, work with me, etc., and all the rest of it, and understand. And I'm a great believer in being a manager that kind of, well, everybody wants to do a good job. And my approach is that I'm there to make sure that they are able to do the job that they want to do. And I kind of remove any blockages to that effect. So the people that I've employed, the first person that I employed, Dara, is a background in brewing, and he's a home brewer himself. And having somebody with that kind of background is very, very useful because they understand all about the milling, mashing, and the raw materials that are needed to make a beer. Because at the end of the day, the first thing we do is make beer. We then do the distillation. That's the tricky bit at the end to make. But to get the brew right is also very, very important. So it's extremely useful to have somebody with a background in brewing that understands basics of actually making a good beer. The second guy that I employed actually has Jonathan has a background in mechanical engineering, and he covers most of our maintenance issues. And Johnny is a great character as well, a really nice guy to work with, as is Dara. And the two guys get on very, very well together as well, which is a great help. And so it's very, very important. So that every day I have a lot of contact with the team. We have two people on each shift. Currently, we were running two shifts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So at the midterm of the day, 3 o'clock, I meet all of the guys. We have two guys in the warehouse, two guys in the morning shift, two guys in the evening shift. So I have 6 people working in the facility. And we have about a 15-20 minute chat, a kind of team meeting where we go through what's happening, what problems may have arisen during the last day, and what we're expecting is going to happen, what's going on in the distillery, what's going on in the visitor centre, how many tours are coming through, minor things like that, but also scheduling, deliveries, orders. I'm a lazy person, really, so I delegate a lot. But that's important because it gives the guys on the distillery the opportunity to learn about suppliers. So they actually contact guys, order the raw material. Now, obviously, I'm looking at a bigger picture a little bit, as Alex does, out in the marketplace and further afield. But I have to look at things that are important in relation to scheduling and how much whiskey we're going to make, what style that's going to be, and bring that to the guys that are actually doing the job on the floor. So that's a lot of what I do. Also, I have to be in charge and in control of the stock, and also the yields that are important from the commercial side of things, that we get the right amount of alcohol from the tonnage of material that we're using, and that we control the alcohol through the process and report that to the revenue, the customs and excise, because that's very, very important. And then the last part of that is the stock control. So a lot of that is down to myself and the warehouse. Because at the end of the day,
you have
we
to
are
taste.
say how much pot still are we going to make this year? How much malt are we going to make this year? And are we going to make it at the right time of the year so it's available when we want to bottle it? Because we're looking at 4 or 5 years out the road as well. And then the rest of the time is having a few drinks, meeting the people, and I have a great time. Really, I really do. I'm doing what I love, making good whiskey, enjoying it with the visitors that come to the distillery. I mean, I'm a person that doesn't go around shouting about my experiences and all this, but I enjoy meeting people, and I enjoy doing what I do. Obviously, also I have to make sure that the whiskey we're producing in the bottle, like our 10-year-old grain that we're currently drinking, is what it should be. So we sample stock on a regular basis. myself and Darren, the lads, we have what's important about the whiskey maturation process and all of that. So periodic. Alex is a great man as well. He brings in an odd bottle of the competition now and again to see what other people are doing. So about once a week, we might sit down and have a look at something that's doing the rounds and compare and take inspiration from it as well. Because I mean, where else do you get it? I mean, when I worked in Cooley, I was in the International Wine and Spirits competition. I was one of the judges, and we used to go to the banquet there every year, and I found that absolutely fascinating. First of all, the tasting competitions are a brilliant place to learn about what's going on in the industry and see things blindly. So you don't know who's made them until after the results come out. And that's great. It gives you a great, I always view it as it recalibrates the old nose, because you're able to look at all of the other people's whiskies blind and see, oh, I like that, that's good, oh, I wonder where that. And eventually you find out, because the results are issued. And then at the or at the banquet, you can go and have a look and taste the whiskies, as we do when we go to trade shows, like we were in Nuremberg there last month. It's a great opportunity for people like me to get into the market and speak with the people that are drinking it, and they either tell you, and I can tell you, people that don't hold back, and they tell you, this is brilliant, I like it for whatever reason. And it's also great feedback, because we can go back to the team and say, look, this is how I see things happening out there, and where we're getting positives, and if there's any negatives, to relay that. It's very important to get those negatives coming. I think more so if they're there first. I never really good.
Yeah.
You never, you have to take those things on board as well and meet people in the market. So all of those things go into a day with me at work, as long, along with the usual issues that you come up with production. There's scheduling of maintenance and all of that has to be done, quality assurance, quality control, being in contact with suppliers, ordering casks. Every day is a challenge, and but it's a challenge I enjoy, and work. It is to be enjoyed if possible, and that's my attitude. With the guys that work for me, if they're not enjoying what they're doing, they don't want to be there, and I don't need people that are not happy. I want people to be happy where they work, and the location, the setting we have, the distillery is really built first class, and it's a great place to work, and I enjoy it every day, and I look forward to it every day. So
that's really good to hear. So his comment to yours is, love the way you're thinking, lazy persons make all others the most productive.
Well, I like to think that, if I'm very busy, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Really,
very good. So Ryan is also watching us. Hi, Ryan.
Who?
And yeah.
I don't know this guy, Ryan. Don't know this guy.
I don't know him. I don't know who it is.
And we're like, don't tell me that.
No.
Can we actually talk about the this 10-year-old? Because honestly, if you do have your followers that are unsure about, no, correct me now if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty well. I often am, but on this one, I think I'm right. Noel and I were in a car driving in Scotland, and we were talking about what we might release. This was before we had any product out on the shelf, and I was sort of saying I've always been a fan of his single grain whiskey, and I could always see that there was plenty of scope in the marketplace for a growing tranche of single grain Irish whiskies. It's not a whiskey that's necessarily had a huge following in the past, but whenever I've sort of interacted with it, I must say I've really enjoyed it. In any event, we both agreed on a couple of things. One, that there was scope for more single grain whiskey, And certainly that as a spirit maturing, it's one that definitely benefits from a bit of additional time and a bit of a refresh every now and again. So the Fercullen 10-year-old single grain that you have there now, not alone has it won multiple awards, but it's actually something that was discussed over in Scotland in the car when we were driving together. We have released a 10-year-old single grain Irish whiskey. It is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
it really is a pleasure to drink. If you're new to whiskey, of all of the Fercullen whiskies, this one is one to pick up and try. It's bottled at 40%, so it's not overly aggressive on the palate. It's huge. It's got a massive nose of vanilla. So a real simple nose, not complicated at all. You do get traces of other elements, but what you get is an overpowering, beautiful, sweet vanilla that comes off the nose. And then as you put it in your mouth and swallow it, it's not burning, it's playful. You play it around the mouth. She plays inside your mouth and then disappears, gone, with quite a short finish. I would say for an opener in the evening, or if you're just feeling like having something that's not a beer, not a wine, but not necessarily a challenging whiskey, our 10-year-old Fercullen single grain Irish whiskey, honestly, that one to me is a standout product. And I have to say, hats off to Noel, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge to come out with something where there's a bit of a preconception around the particular category or the subcategory grain whiskey. In Ireland, we've always made very good grain whiskies. We've used very, very high quality raw materials to start with, often using corn, maize, which adds an element of sweetness and smoothness to the end product. We make whiskies, grain whiskies, to release as grain whiskies, not just for blending, but to release in their own right as very drinkable whiskies. This one, to me, of all of our products tonight, and it's only, I know I have to be quiet and let things move on, but this one to me, folks, is a real playful, delightful, enjoyable whiskey. And you don't need to know the first thing about whiskey to enjoy this one.
Yeah, that's right. I think it smells like a warm vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
So
it's lovely. It's absolutely
really
gorgeous.
nice.
Yeah.
But maybe this leads me to one of the comments, because Jörg, he's asking if we have an idea about cocktails. I know you have some cocktail recipes.
Generally speaking, we would probably look at our blend whiskey as the sort of the workhorse whiskey that we have for cocktails or for mixes. Generally speaking, the feedback we've received, and it's not ours, because of course, like everybody else, we'll experiment with everything. But what we have found is most people tend to reach for our premium blends if they're looking for a cocktail, and the ideal there is probably an old-fashioned,
Yeah, very good. So Stefan wrote a long comment, so sad that we must cancel the tour to Fercullen next week. I drink on that day 3 of your fantastic whiskeys, but not the bottle from Nuremberg. And then I have to plan what we cook the 2nd October for Alex and Noel to come over for a beef stew is a bad joke. So Stefan is a fantastic chef, so we'll get amazing food there, I'm sure.
October the 2nd, it's in the diary now.
And 3rd, 2 days. 2 days.
Very good.
So, and now I have a challenge, but I think this is very good for Alex and Noel, because I think it's really interesting. Give us 3 words to describe the best Irish whiskey. 3 words.
Approachable, delicious, and memorable.
Very good.
I was going to say Fercullen 10.
Yes, very good answer.
The same thing.
Fercullen 10 drink. Very good. And then Jörg, he says Irish whiskey, maximum 6 years old, and green grapes cut in halves. I call it the grape escape. Okay, that's his own special cocktail recipe. Maybe we can give it a try. Yeah. Very good. So I also really like the 10-year-old. I think it's a very good whiskey.
And in Powerscourt Centre, we have a ice cream that's made with the 10-year-old.
I have to try it next time.
So if anybody wants to, you know, a lot of people ask me about how is the best way to drink whiskey, and some people have suggested cocktails and all these kind of things. And I always tell people, I don't care what way you drink it, as long as you drink plenty of it. But again, it's a personal thing. You should drink whiskey the way and experiment with it. If you have a bottle of 10-year-old, try it neat first of all. That's always a good start. But add a little water, add your favorite mixer, whatever. I don't mind. You should be able to experiment with drink and try it with water, try it with ice, try it with mixer until you get it the way you like it. Because it is a versatile drink. It's not necessarily meant to be drank the way it's in the bottle. That's just the way we have to deliver it to you, because we can't sell it if it's below 40% alcohol. But there's nothing to stop you putting water or ice in it to make it more enjoyable. Some people prefer a cask strength.
Yeah, that's very good.
Let's go to this one.
This is the next one.
Patience, Alex, patience.
We at first we have to go to the 14-year-old.
Right.
Yeah, the 14-year-old first. And I have the right class for that. You see it? Powerscourt. I have your classes over here. So I really like the 14-year-old cask strengths we poured in Nuremberg at the Bottle Your Own. I think that was fantastic. I also like this 14-year-old.
I think
but in cask strength, that was amazing. Yeah.
Just putting up to more complexity and more voluptuousness is the word I like to use. I don't know how that translates into German, but I'm sure there's someone out there can do that.
Yeah.
Really, you know, more complex whiskey.
Yeah.
More interesting, I think. There's a lot going on, so you have to taste it while come back to it a couple of times, because every time you come back, you find something else interesting about it, and it just takes a moment or two to open up in the palate.
Yeah.
46%, obviously, and the reason for that is, you know, they have chill filtration, not actually filtered, so to take out any of the fatty acids that might be in there from the maturation, and so also you can tell add a little water or ice to this, it might just go a little bit black, but that's natural.
Yeah. I think it's a bit more. You have also some fruit notes in there.
Orange.
Yeah, orange. And at the first smell, I was thinking about green apples. Now I get more orange and citrus notes. Yes.
There's a lovely finish on this one as well. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Has a very long finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. So maybe for all that missed it, this is now a 14-year-old single malt, 46%. And maybe to to give some an idea to the German customers. So you get these whiskies. Maybe I just do that quick in German.
Please, yeah.
Also die ganzen Whiskys bekommt ihr im gut sortierten Fachhandel oder bei mir auf der Webseite irish-whiskies.de. Und dem Monat haben wir eine Aktion, dass es pro bestellte Flasche verkosten Whisky ein Glas gibt, was ich eben in die Kamera gehalten habe. Entweder mit der Aufschrift Powerscourt Distillery oder das hier, verkosten Whisky. Ich bekomme jetzt die nächsten erst wieder geschickt, deshalb weiß ich nicht genau, welche es sein werden, aber das gilt noch den ganzen April. So I just told about the sales promotion we have and where the people can get the whiskies.
Excellent.
Good to know. They need to know that.
It always helps.
So I have another question for Alex. Why don't you wear a Powerscourt Distillery t-shirt? No one has it.
You want the honest answer? In the wash.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know,
You need to be better prepared.
We actually had a discussion. Come on, look, I know we're live and we shouldn't do this, but we'll do it anyway. We had a discussion today. Noel rang me earlier on today and said, listen, Alex, this evening on this show with Marijke, what do you think we should wear? I said, well, let's wear our Powerscourt tops. That's easy. So Noel said, actually, listen, mine's in the wash. It's not possible. Okay, fair enough.
I want to. I had to go on TikTok.
This is about 4 o'clock. Okay? So I said, well, okay, Noel, tell you what, listen, she would just throw a shirt on, we'll go from there. And confident that Noel would come on wearing a shirt. I wore a shirt, and this is what I get. And now a question coming in. So yeah, so in fact, natural fact, my shirt's in the wash, but if you give me half an hour, I'll be able to put it on slightly wet.
So it's really nice on the live streams. You never know what happened.
So who was that caught us out?
It was here. Your
lifetime ban from the distillery, lifetime ban.
Yeah. Very good. So maybe we can go over to the last whiskey. I have one left. The 18-year-old. Hopefully you have it also. I know you have it. Yes.
This.
Really good.
Do that.
I have it here. And I also have what I have also the packaging. This really nice box. So when we open it, it's really nice inside. Can you see that? Yeah. Very nice box. You pour lots of it.
Oh, you have to. This one just requires
You have to.
heavy hand. A heavy hand.
We can be all very lucky that we all have these whiskeys in the house.
It's after 8 o'clock, for goodness sake.
It's after 8 o'clock, yeah. In Germany, it's after 9 o'clock. So we are allowed to drink. Yeah. Sasha. We have another question. Will Powerscourt be focusing on single malt and pot still whiskey?
Yes.
Yes.
Simple enough question. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can tell that the pot still new make is really good.
You have some there as well. Yeah.
Well, we did bring some new make to Nuremberg.
Yeah, here I have the rest of the bottle.
Yeah.
71%. Yeah. So Toby says, Noel, keep it going. Just pour. Very good. So this is much fruitier than the 14-year-old.
Oh, yeah. This is beautiful. This is Actually, the difference, and again, it's probably a point of discussion and debate, which is always great with whiskey. This one we bottled at 43%, so slightly less strong than the 14-year-old. So bottled at 43%, and actually, you know, we tried it a number of different strengths. So in the distillery, we all tried different strengths, the same expression, to see which one that we liked the most as a collective, and that's what decided the 43, and that's what came out on top. And I know in different parts of the world, we've had some very positive response to that, and in other parts, less positive. People would like us to bottle it a little bit stronger. So look, it leaves us with a few choices and options going forward. But as an opening 18-year-old single malt, he didn't do too badly. I don't think the recent world whiskey competition. I don't think he did too badly in the 13 to 20-year-old age category for an 18-year-old Irish whiskey. But what I would say about this one is different to the 14-year-old. This one to me has got an awful lot more of those sort of plums, dates, plums. Certainly a lot stronger on the timber at the end of the nose as well. Less of the, I would say, less of the citrus fruitier notes, but more certainly of the richer sort of flavors that you'd like to get from an aged whiskey, from an old whiskey. I mean, delightfully smooth in the mouth, absolutely delightfully smooth in the mouth. And again, I think possibly less of a finish than the 14-year-old, probably because it's slightly less strong. But then afterwards, as you breathe it out through your nose, it's just so enjoyable to do. It's untrue. It's a beautiful whiskey, folks. Enjoy this one.
Yes, it is. So Tina's asking, so no grain, no.
No grain.
Yeah, you have the no. If you are producing the grain whiskey at the distillery, but you don't have.
Well,
no, we don't have column stills.
Yeah.
No. When we decided to build the distillery, and we really didn't have the opportunity to put in column stills, and it's a much more bigger kind of plant required to do that, you know. So I mean, we wanted to focus on the main flavor ingredients in the malt and pot still, and as you know, a lot of people produce blended whiskies with a grain as a kind of a thinner to promote the flavors of the malt in particular. So when we were looking at building a new distillery, obviously there are limitations on what we can and can't do, and grain plant is the next stage, maybe at some stage down the road, maybe, who knows.
Maybe, yeah.
There are a number of grain distillery production sites in Ireland, and we are very familiar with making grain whiskey, obviously, before, but so we can select what grain we need, and going forward, we will probably have grain available, and hopefully, and possibly even blend, who knows. We'll see.
Yeah, very good. So Jörg, who was asking about the shirt, says he would really like to come and visit again. So maybe he's changing his name.
You've got an invitation to come anytime at all. Just pronounce your name on arrival, and we'll make sure you get a very special tour. Okay.
So Claudia is also.
Why did give you a shirt?
And then we have two more questions. So Kevin is asking, can I ask what's the standard ratio of malt to grain in your whiskey? Do you answer that?
No.
No. Good.
That
was the answer.
There's no such thing as a standard ratio.
Yeah.
For any you know, okay, you prepare a blend and you prepare as I mentioned earlier, with the best intentions of making the best out of the stock that you have. So in our case, we're very fortunate. We have a very good quality grain, as you have the experience with the 10-year-old column. The grain we're using in our blend is a 6-year-old, but it's of a similar ERC at that age. And the malt is, 14, 15-year-old malt that we're putting in there. So I'm not going to divulge the proportions because I think that's kind of like trade secrets. But you probably don't need as much malt as you would at that age to bring that flavor into the blend, and that's what the blend is all about: getting the best out of the ingredients that you have and making sure that you don't overpower one with the other, so you have a good balance between the malt and the grain. And to achieve that with old malt and a younger grain, the proportions have to be spot on. So they can vary a little bit around that to make sure that you still get the right balance. But there's no such thing as a standard. I mean, if you're dealing with 4-year-old malt and 4-year-old grain, you're in a whole different ballgame altogether, because the flavors haven't really developed in the malt, but you may have them in the grain. So it's a different scenario. I hope that answers somewhat.
Okay. Yes. Thanks so. Okay. Torsten is here. Hi, you know Torsten Noel. He was with us at the stand in Nuremberg. He was making the cocktails. The big guy making cocktails at the stand in Nuremberg. Yes. So, and here's another question, Noel. Can you explain the journey involved in bringing people from the old stock to the new stock? As I know, this is going to be a challenge for a lot of Irish distilleries.
Yeah, I mean, one of the benefits that we have is that the old stock is stock that I produce somewhere else. And the stock that we're making currently in Powerscourt, while it's not going to be exactly the same, it will have, I hope, I trust, I expect, I've done my work, it's going to have at least a similarity and kind of a general DNA of my touch on it.
Yeah.
And when we come to release our new make, we will do it as new make, and it will stand on its own at that stage. Obviously, if people have become accustomed to and are very attached to the column range, as we have currently got, there is a challenge for me as a blender and distiller to ensure that that transition is flawless and that they should taste exactly the same. We could, and there's always the possibility that that might happen. Currently, we take a single malt. If we were using Powerscourt malt and malt that I produced at a different distillery, we can remove the single and mix the two, so that there is a glide path from older malt whiskey to the younger stuff that we will be producing as we develop the brand for Colin. I mean, there's no definitive answer to that question insofar as I can't say exactly what's going to happen, because that hasn't happened yet. And when we do come to release our spirit from Powerscourt, we will decide then how best to deal with that.
Okay.
Marika, can I say something there? Actually, I'm going to say a different note. I'll tell you, I kind of have been following and drinking whiskey for probably the last 30-odd years, 35 years of my life. Some of them perhaps weren't entirely legal. But in any event, what I would say is, like everything else, at some stage, it kind of takes a hold of you. You know, you follow certain products because there's stories that go beyond. They go beyond what's in the glass. They go beyond what's in the moment. They kind of form part of it, but they go beyond it. I think one of the lovely things that we have at the moment in Powerscourt, and I mean this very, very genuinely, is if you look at the new whiskies that are coming out at the moment. Well, the truth is because we didn't have a particularly active industry over the last number of years outside of 2 or 3 large parties. An awful lot of what's been released at the moment is stock that Noel would have had a significant hand in distilling and in releasing. Um, I think people like that. No, I think people go on. Get back in the camera. Come on, you're all right. Your chair's leaning over to the right. But the reality of it is this: is that actually, I think we're very fortunate because I mean, who knows what the future is going to hold for our distillery or any other ones? We're going to put our shoulders and hard work in behind it. We fundamentally enjoy what we do, and we enjoy it for lots of reasons. I think we're very fortunate. We have old stock that Noel laid down formally. We're very lucky. Through good fortune, we acquired that old stock, and it was good fortune, and it was also Ireland voting for Ireland in many ways. The people involved know exactly what I'm talking about. We got Noel early in our life. Before our distillery was born, Noel came in fairly early on with 2 objectives really. Myself and Noel spoke very openly, but there are 2 things that we agreed that we wanted to do. One was, no, look, this old stock that you've made, please release it as best you feel it can be released in terms of an expression over the next few years. And help us, hand in glove, help us design the new distillery with the Seit family, which happened. We're probably the only distillery in Ireland at the moment that can claim to have had a master distiller work with master fabricators to actually put together a plant from which can come new spirit of a type defined by a master distiller. And arguably, there's something very nice. I actually look forward to. You should never, wish for time to pass quickly. But people talk about the difference between the old stock and the new. I actually, in our instance, I look forward to those times in the future. I look forward to our first expression, whether it's 3, 4 years out, whether it's 8 years out, 10 years. I look forward to that because Irish whiskey is an awful lot more than just simply a term. It's an awful lot more than a brown liquid in a glass. It represents the people who actually work in the industry that give a lifetime of dedication to it, and thereby, create the path that others will walk along and follow through as well. We have that. I mean, we're very, very, very fortunate in Powerscourt Distillery today. We have that. We're bringing to fruition expressions of Irish whiskey that were laid down as new spirit by Noel, 18, 14, 10 years ago. We've now got a plant designed by Noel. As the years go by, look, there'll be other great masters, and we welcome them and support them joining the team. If we didn't, there'd be no point in being involved in Irish whiskey. We know they'll come. But right now, we've got a little bit of history. And what we want to do is create something which becomes damn it, a legacy at some stage. I think that's important. I think a drink like whiskey, she can be a hell of a temptress and take you to all sorts of places. But there is a serious place as well in the world. And I think that serious place is to be defined at 5:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, and somebody is cleaning out a mash tun and getting the day ready. Noel personifies that, and his team, Dara, Johnny, Sean, they're all in there in the morning early, starting doing this. I mean, you look at Mikey with a smile in the morning, first thing. These guys probably it'll be 18, 20 years before what they're doing now comes to expression. Noel talks about DNA, and people that you meet at trade shows talk about things like, will it have his stamp or his signature on it, or I think the fingerprints will always be on every bit of spirit that comes out of our stills in Powerscourt. I really do. And I think they've got a wonderful history behind them, not alone because of the plant that was, where it came from and the legacy and the tradition of the Seit family, but also because of the traditions of Powerscourt Estate. And finally, and very significantly, most materially, because of the absolute dedication that Noel has given to Irish whiskey, and we genuinely feel blessed to have him. And I know that's not easy to accept or to listen to, but the reality of it is sitting, to my right on the screen and probably to my left somewhere up in wherever you are. No, talk about people that it's a pleasure to work with. I'm almost 50, and I can tell you honestly, I love working with Noel. I really enjoy working with Noel and his teams. I love seeing what he put together to run the distillation floor. And I look forward to our next expressions, not because, they'll be market leaders. No, but because they're actual expressions of what people like Noel put into life. And they put in a huge amount for something as simple and enjoyable as that.
Really good.
It's Irish whiskey.
Very good. So, as we have been talking about the whiskeys who are currently available, I think we will get slightly to the end, but we have two more questions. And one is, will there be something special for Mareike and Germany? I think, Noel, we have been talking about that in Nuremberg, that we can release something for October when we will meet at Stefan. So I'm hoping that I can come to Ireland and choose a cask by myself. Otherwise, you need to send samples, and we both need to choose something.
Mareike, it will always be a pleasure to welcome you to Powerscourt today.
Yes.
Powerscourt Distillery, and we will have any amount of casks available. And we have certainly a few things up our sleeves, even if they are short ones, to offer you. I mean, yes, I think we're very, very happy with our relationship with you and how you're doing in Germany, and we want to see that blossom into the future. And yes, we're delighted to offer something special to Germany, definitely.
Great. Yes. So we will work on it, and hopefully, when I'm allowed to travel again, I will come over.
Well, I mean, even if you can't travel, I'm sure we can exchange a few samples.
Yes.
We have a lot of different styles of finishes that we can use, and we'll come up with something that will be exclusive and special. No problem.
Very good. Thank you. So Derek says, great answer, Noel and Alex. Thank you. So that was the question before. And then here is another question. I think that's interesting. Will there be only standard tours at the distillery, or do you offer different special tours? So what kind of tours are you offering?
Send me an email.
Sorry?
I can do any kind of tour, but
very good.
Anywhere you want. We have a very simple thing to do. We enjoy our work, and it's great when people come to the distillery. Yeah, we have a fantastic facility to come visit tasting rooms. We've rooms that look out over the production floor. We've quiet rooms in the back where we can go through multiple different types of expression of our whiskey. There's all sorts of tours can be done. Really, the answer is yes. What's the question?
Okay, very good.
So we also cater for groups of people, obviously, and we have facilities there to do a bit of corporate entertainment. We've had people over to do that.
Kevin's taking some golf lessons on top, so
yeah,
yeah, really good. And then here is another comment from Kevin. Alex and Noel have a great ethos whiskey. Fair play to you. And I see that is apparent in Powerscourt as well, which make their whiskey something to enjoy and look forward to. I think that's a very good comment for the end. I think there are no more questions, and I would like to say thank you for this live stream, for all the background knowledge you gave us, for drinking whiskey with myself, enjoying all the great whiskeys from Verkosten Whiskey, and hopefully we will meet in person all soon and see us at the latest in October by Stefan. And if you would like to say I would like to say thank you to you, and maybe you would like to say an end sentence, say goodbye.
Look, it's great to be there tonight, and I'll let Alex finish off in a moment, but I would like to say thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I really enjoyed it, along with a couple of drinks, of course. And look, and it's great to have everybody online tonight. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and I certainly have. And look, stay safe out there, and hopefully we'll see you in the future. Cheers. Sláinte.
Sláinte.
And then for me to say goodbye to everyone, it's always very hard to do. I hate saying goodbye. But what I will say is that, folks, you're always welcome in Ireland. We have a lovely saying, which is Céad Míle Fáilte, which is 100,000 welcomes. There's 100,000 welcomes in every distillery in Ireland. There's also 100,000 different whiskies you have to come and try in Ireland. So come over, bring your friends, tell your friends, bring your families. When all the current situation has passed, and it will pass, come over and enjoy Irish whiskey. Sláinte.
Sláinte. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Slán.
Slán.